Hello again and welcome to another Warhammer 40k Morty and Glory video. In today's episode, we are going to be taking a look at the new datasheet for the Orc Weirdboy. These Orc Psychers are really powerful and their abilities have the potential to be super broken in the new edition of 40k. Is there an enemy character that is causing you all sorts of problems? Just delete him with an Orc Psychic power. Having trouble getting your boys across the battlefield? Well, how about an almost guaranteed turn 1 teleport? If you are a budding Orc war boss, you definitely want some of these odd boys in your army. And if you are facing off against them, you need to be prepared for the power of the Great Green War. But without further ado, let's dive into the nitty-gritty detail of this new data sheet and crack on with today's episode. Now, the first thing that I want to do is have a look at this bad boy's main stat line. And what jumps out at me straight away is his movement value. Orcs finally have movement 6 back again. It might not seem like such a big deal, 5 inches or 6 inches, although Mrs. Mordian always tells me it's a big deal. But the fact that these orcs can now go as fast as all the other infantry in 40k is a really, really big boost. I think orcs going 5 inches a turn just unnecessarily slowed them down. It felt like such a needless tweak. I know all the old orc models have got all like their dummy thick ass cheeks poking out, but it just seems silly. So it's great to see that orcs have got a normal movement value back. Another thing orc players are going to be pleased about is they have kept their basic toughness of 5, which is going to keep them nice and durable in the new edition. I did wonder if Games Workshop brought their old movement back, if they would reduce their toughness back down to 4, because there basically was that trade-off of you're going to be a bit slower, but you're going to be a bit tougher. But it looks like Games Workshop has basically said to the orc community, you know what, son, have your cake and eat it. Extra movement, and you can keep that extra toughness as well. Another potential boost for the orcs is it looks like they're getting a basic save of 5+ now. For the longest time, orcs have had t-shirt saves. The longest time, it's just been a 6 up. But if this weird boy is anything to go off, and looking at him, he doesn't look like he's particularly well armored, it might be that Orc's basic save is getting improved from a 6 up to a 5. This would definitely bring them in line with other chaff units in 40k like Tyrannies, which in 9th edition and going into 10th edition had their gaunts and gants, their basic little bugs, save improved up to a 5+, and also their Gene Stealers went up to a 4+ invulnerable save. Looks like Games Workshop is adding extra toughness and save values across the board in 10th edition, which should go some way into reducing the lethality of the game and improving durability. As for the rest of the stats, the wounds of 4, the leadership 7, and the objective control of 1, that all seems to be fairly in line with what we were expecting for the Weirdboy. He's a hero level character, a bit like a Space Marine Lieutenant. You wouldn't expect him to come with that chonky 5 wounds that many other characters get. And also leadership 7 is a little bit worse than what we've seen on the Space Marines, but then again, orcs have never had as good leadership as Space Marines. And objective control of 1 seems pretty much par for the course when it comes to the new characters. Now, all of that information is somewhat interesting. You may have raised an eyebrow or blown air slightly harder out of your nose when you saw the new movement or the new save value. But where the real meat is, where the juicy information is on the ranged weapons and melee weapons, the new psychic shenanigans that this guy has available to him. So first off, let's just briefly cover that melee weapon, the Weirdboy staff, because it just seems right to talk about the close combat stuff first when we're talking about orcs. So it looks like a pretty decent close combat weapon. You get 3 attacks. The orc boy hits on a 3+ with it. He's strength 8, which really took me by surprise because the librarian's force weapon was only strength 6. It's AP -1 and it's D3 damage. So if he hits you with this thing in combat, it's actually got a really good chance of just bonking you on the head and making you go to sleep for a long time. What stood out to me though is that it is a psychic weapon. Now, psychic might just be a keyword. It might not have a huge amount of connotations. It might be more to do with the kind of defenses that you can get against psychic weapons. So, for example, we know that the Space Marine Librarian gives you a 4+ feel no pain against psychic wounds, which would make him and his unit pretty durable against this melee staff. But it might also mean that if you don't have a feel no pain against psychic attacks, you don't get a save. Think about how mortal wounds work in 8th and 9th edition. Unless you have a feel no pain against them, you don't get a defense against them. The same thing may apply to psychic attacks in 10th. We just don't know at the moment. But even if that's not the case, and psychic attacks only really interact with defensive abilities like the librarians, it's still a very powerful weapon. Strength 8, 3 attacks hit on 3s. That's going to do some damage to almost any target in the game, even light and medium vehicles. But the real power of the Weirdboy is his quote-unquote ranged attack, his Edbanger psychic power. When I saw this thing, I burst out laughing because it's absolutely hilarious. And against certain armies, it has the potential to completely win the game. Oh my god. So Edbanger is a precision attack. That means it can target characters. That means even if you've got a leader hanging around inside a squad, he can be targeted. Even if you've got a lone operative, it doesn't matter. The Weirdboy is going to find you and he's going to headbutt you with his big psychic brain. Now, traditionally, precision weapons have been kind of poo. I mean, when was the last time you ever saw anyone run a sniper in 40k? But if they were all as good as Edbanger, I think we'd see a lot more of them. To start off, it's got a 24-inch range. That is more than enough on the smaller board sizes of 40k these days. Now, it is only one attack that hits on ballistic skill 4+, but at a minimum, it's strength 6, AP -3, 1 damage. Now, you might be thinking, oh, that doesn't seem so bad. He only hits on a 4+, it's only one attack. And even if he does hit, sure, that strength 6, AP -3 seems kind of scary. If you haven't got an invulnerable save, that's going to give you a bit of a headache. But the damage one, he can do that all day into my Primaris captain. He's never going to kill him. Wrong. Because that was the minimum damage this thing can do. Because the Weirdboy has a special ability called War Energy. While this model is leading a unit, and let's be honest guys, you're always going to have him leading a unit so that he's safe, add 1 to the strength and damage characteristics of this model's Edbanger weapon. Okay, you know, strength 2, strength 7, not too bad. No, for every 5 models in that unit. But while that unit contains 10 or more models, that weapon has the hazardous ability, which means that, you know, on a 1 to hit, he's going to do a wound to himself. But, guys, you put the Weirdboy in a mob of 30 orc boys, and he gets +6 strength, and he gets +6 damage, which means that the Edbanger ability goes up to strength 12, AP -3, damage 7. If that attack gets a successful wound through on you, it's going to delete any of your characters. If you're an Imperial Guard player like me, this absolutely terrifies me. Katie Castellans, dead in one go. Even special cards like Straka, dead in one go. Oh, I've got a commander in a command squad, dead in one go. It doesn't matter. I don't even think that my Lord Solar can survive a hit from this thing. Like, that's my best character. If it hits one of my Lehman Russes, it might take half the wounds off in one go. This guy potentially could core a Sentinel by mentally nutting it in the face. Now, sure, that's guard characters. They're relatively fragile, but I'm sorry, even Space Marine captains, which are pretty durable and are the baseline for most characters in the game, are going to get one shot by this guy. You need 8 wounds to not die in one shot from a fully powered up Edbanger. And it's not like you can even protect yourself by being in a squad or lone operative. Like I said before, this is precision. If this guy gets the 24-inch range and he hits you, you are dead. Even if it is only one attack. Even if it does only hit on 4s. Even if you get a 4+ invulnerable save against this thing. There's only so many Edbangers you can dodge. What happens when the Orc player turns up with more than one of these things? There's nothing stopping him from taking 3 of them. There's no Force Orc chart anymore, guys. You just know, oh, you can only take so many elites or so many troops. Someone could take 3 of these in their list and have enough time and points for the rest of the characters that they want as well. I mean, I could imagine a standard Orc strategy being 3 Weirdboys and 3 squads of boys, because why wouldn't you do that? What I love about this Weirdboy and what I love about the Headbanger is how much it just fucks with your opponent, how much it can just mess their game plans up. You might have a Space Marine player who's like, well, I've got my 10 Hellblasters led by my lieutenant, and he's giving them all those leader buffs. And your Weirdboy just goes, boop, he's dead. Because lieutenants don't get vulnerable saves. At the best, the lieutenant's going to get like a 6-up save, and then he's just going to get squashed by an Headbanger. It's hilarious. And by picking out those key characters, we all know Space Marines love their characters, you could completely derail your opponent's plans. And I guarantee that some top tier player is going to get utterly caught out by this in like the first big tournament. It's going to be all over the competitive stratosphere because they're just not going to expect it, because precision weapons have been so bad for so long that people have just been used to swanning around with their characters. And I am so ready for the Headbanger to become headline news in like LVO or LGT or some other major big event when it just completely and utterly catches someone off guard. I literally just want to collect orcs because of this psychic power. I really want to change the channel name to Morky and Glory and run around with 3 blobs of boys, with all the weird boys in there, and just go around absolutely triple Headbangering, just bukkakeing the brains of my opponent's characters. I mean, it is literally the definition of you mentally skull fucking someone. But wait, there's more, because the Weirdboy isn't just a green-skinned savage barbarian. He's not just a direct damage dealer. He's multifaceted. He's deep. He's got a soul. He's got feelings and thoughts. And he is also a massive force multiplier thanks to his Da Jump psychic power. Now, the jump is nothing new. It's a psychic power that allows the orcs to teleport around the table. They've had it for ages. It's one of their bread and butter psychic shenanigans. And if there was one psychic thing that the orc community was praying to both Gork and Mork would make it into 10th edition, I bet you it would be the jump. But it has been massively improved. In previous editions, you had to roll your 2d6 to do your psychic test, and you had to get a relatively high number. Sometimes you'd get a bonus to it thanks to nearby orc energy, but sometimes you wouldn't, and it was never a guaranteed thing. And often orc players would live or die on getting to jump off. It was that fundamental to their tactics because they were so slow on trying to get across the board. But now it just goes off on a 2+. Literally 1d6. As long as you don't get a 1, that power is going off. That must be the best odds it has ever had of going off in its entire existence as a psychic power in this game. And don't forget, there's no Deny the Witch in 10th edition. So it's not like you can even stop the orc player from doing this by, cancelling out his brain powers. No, if he gets that 2+ off, he's coming at you and he's just jumping across the board. And what is terrifying about this, if you're facing against the orcs, is this is not just a one-time occurrence. Remember, you can take loads of orc boys, and you can take up to 3 weird boys in your army. So there's nothing stopping the orc player from turns 1, turns 2, turns 3, just launching these psychic missiles at you. Take a weird boy, put him in a squad of 30 shooter boys, or chopper boys. Turn 1, teleport across the board. Headbanger an enemy character, charge in, finish it off. Turn 2, same thing. Turn 3, same thing. If there's only 5 or 6 turns in the game, you might have to spend the first 3 turns of the game, the first half, just dealing with orcs literally raining out the freaking sky. Not only is this hilarious and extremely orky, but tactically it's really powerful as well. It means that you can keep your opponent under constant pressure whilst you take the middle of the board and fortify it, or whilst you get your other assault units, the ones that aren't being dejumped, across the board. We thought that Goth pressure was a big thing in 9th. I think Goth pressure is going to be even more potent going into 10th edition. But all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you think down in that comment section below. Are you an orc war boss? Do you plan on including some of these brain boys in your list? And if you're not an orc player, how do you think we should try and counter this psychic chicanery from the green-skinned menace? If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure you smash that like button like you smashed the teeth out of your rival in the orc camp, and also subscribe to never miss an episode. If you found today's video particularly informative or fun, then please consider becoming a channel member or Patreon supporter. One of the biggest perks of becoming a supporter is you gain access to the Mordy and Glory Discord server, an online community with well over 1,000 active people. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got army list sections, tactics, strategy, we've got hobbying and painting channels, and we've even got a pretty spicy meme area as well. And I just want to take a moment to say a big thank you to all of the latest channel members. So thank you to Drotin Ulfa, Couch Spuds, SoCal Soft, Trent Silver, MCTA20D, Jake Alonso, I'm Adequate, Rory Langford, Mammoth Tank 117, David Elmy, John Westhorpe, Robert Anderson, and Leonard Poll. Thank you guys for doing your part. I also want to shout out to the latest Patreon supporters too, so a big thank you to Captain Never Scared, Deathcore Commander, Peter Stella, Tyson Bowman, Craig Smith, Adam Canklin, and the Commissar 357. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal, heartfelt thank you to all of my top tier Patreon supporters. These are the War Masters, the people that have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a massive thank you to Alan Blunt III, Bon Bon Vert, Mark Panconi, Ridemaster 134-1, Ross Miller, Swordfish Trombone, John Stubbs, Diesel Fox, and August Varney. Thank you guys, your generous support makes a huge difference. I'm eternally grateful to you. Hope everyone enjoyed today's video. Thank you for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you guys next time.